Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Agora Singapore Speaker Club. I am Thomas, your host for tonight's meeting. And I'm going to run through quickly. The time now is actually 6:30. If I'm right, it's about 6:30. I'm going to run through the introduction, this exciting program for you all. And then after that, I will call upon Casey for the opening address at 6:40 p.m. At 6:50, we're going to have an impromptu speaker that will be conducted by Mr. Gia Chong Lim. It's a 25 minutes duration. I encourage you all to participate. Then at 7:20, our first speech by Anne Marie, and the title is Undo It. It's going to be a 7-minute speech followed by evaluation. And then at 7:36, our second speaker, Mr. Lawrence Lee, will speak about abundance. We will then have 5 minutes break, coffee break, followed by our second part. At 8:02, we will have Kapil Chawla to speak to us about Are You Afraid of Public Speaking? An introduction to EFT. Then at 8:18, we will have our in-house talent, Raihana Abdullah, the lady who is always young and sweet, speaking on Finding Crystal, her pet cat. And at 8:36, the 3 secrets of confidence will be shared by Mr. Wilson Low. And the bad news is that all this will be followed by a test to see whether you'll be paying attention by Shona George. And if we are on schedule, then at 9:10, we will have our closing address by Mr. Chen Ji-Ming. And that should be before we end at 9:30 p.m. So I will still want to introduce to you the appointment holder for this evening. The first, you met her, Gwen Lin, who was doing the icebreaker session. And Gwen is an independent public relation professional who has been in the PR field for the last 20 years. Gwen, can we please give Gwen a round of applause or hands up? Yeah. Then we have our etiquette and rules manager, which you heard from earlier, Mr. Jeffrey Louis. Jeffrey needs very little introduction, having participated in many Agora meetings. But he is a full-time wellness coach and runs a fitness studio. So looking at him, you know that he looks pretty fit. Please give Jeffrey a round of applause as well. Then we have our video conference director, Mr. Willie Low. Without him, this meeting will not run smoothly. Willie is a president of Fu Chun Toastmaster Club. Please give him a round of applause as well. And so with that, without further ado, I call upon Casey for the opening address. Hi, Casey. Casey has been with Agora Singapore since the beginning and is now a brand consultant. And he is also the VP of Education in Agora Singapore. Please welcome Casey. Thanks, Casey. Over to you.
Good evening, everybody, members, friends, and our overseas guests. Our speakers tonight, President Mr. Gay Bumping. Thank you. It is so wonderful to be together again from different parts of the world. I want to welcome everybody who connects from us from overseas, and we welcome you again and again. Please bring more friends. It is a privilege to be here tonight. I'm Casey. I'm a Vice President Education for Agora Singapore. I want to thank again Mr. Gay Bumping for the trust and training me as I serve faithfully day and night with tears and blood. Tonight, I want to share with you an European folk story, the stone soup. Some travelers came to a village carrying nothing more than an empty cooking pot. After their arrival, the villagers are unwilling to share any of their food stored with the hungry travelers. Then the travelers will go to the stream and fill the pot with water, drop a large stone in it, place it over a fire. One of the villagers becomes curious and asks, "What are they doing?" The travelers answer, "They are making stone soup, which tastes wonderful and which they will be delighted to share with the villager, although it still needs a little bit of garnish, which they are missing to improve the flavor." The villager who anticipates enjoying a share of the soup does not mind parting with a few carrots, and this add to the soup. Another villager walked by inquiring about the pot, and the travelers again mentioned their stone soup, which has not yet reached its full potential. The villager hands them with a little of seasoning and a piece of chickens, and more villagers walk by and each adding another ingredient. Finally, the stone, being inedible, is removed from the pot, and a delicious, nourishing pot of soup is enjoyed by travelers and villagers alike. Although the travelers had tricked the villagers into sharing their food with them, they have successfully transformed it into a tasty meal which they shared with the donors. In Agora, I assure you, you need not trick anyone to share their food with you. You just need to come here with an empty pot. I assure you, we want you to come in hungry. Hungry to learn, hungry to absorb all the nutrients from Agora members. We have many volunteers in Agora meetings. They are eager to learn and want to be in the training. I wish many more will come. Many more speakers will come forward to share your experiences. I just want to share, we are a community of friends helping friends to succeed. We want you to stay hungry. We are Club 39, Agora Singapore Speakers Club, and we welcome you tonight for another wonderful meeting. Thank you very much. Back to you, MC. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Casey. Now I will introduce the impromptu speaking session. Now this session is only for 25 minutes, and the timekeeper is going to flash the green light at 15 minutes, the yellow light at 20 minutes, and at 25 minutes, the red light. And then the session has to end within 30 seconds. So to introduce the gentleman who's going to do the impromptu speech master, Mr. Gia Chong Lim. Chong Lim is an engineer by profession, works for NGen. Because he is considered an essential worker, he gets to work at his office during circuit breaker. How fortunate he is. Well, we are all stuck at home. He is happily working in the office. Chong Lim has attempted almost every role in Agora, and he strongly encourages everyone to do the same. He has been the MC, the timekeeper, delivered prepared speech and closing address, and even hosted the impromptu speeches, which he's going to do it again. Over to you, Chong Lim.
All right. I'm sure you all are not strangers to this prepared speech. So let's run through it quickly again. If you all need elaboration, just stop me, okay? On your mic and shout at me. All right, keep it simple, PREP, point, reason, example, elaboration, evidence, anything start with E, and then reiterate your point. All right, so how will this work today? Each topic, I tried to design it in a way that one can present their stand and the second person can provide a counterpoint. So why am I doing this? I think if one person just speak on one topic, it's a little bit awkward. Although you get your point across, I prefer if somebody tries to give a counterpoint. So there's a bit of a 1-2. So hopefully I can get 2 volunteers at a time. We don't have many people tonight. So be active, okay? Yeah, 2 minutes per person. So if I have 25 minutes, I have about 5 topics can already, sweet. Okay, so 2 minutes per person, 1 minute get the green, 1.5 yellow, and 2 minutes red. So I think Carlson will be keeping track of the time. All right, so wait, can we get 2 people first? Let me look at the participant screen. Anybody, feel free to raise your hand and I will pick you. I see Jonathan.
Yes.
All right, excellent. You can be number 1. You present your point. Okay, who wants to argue with Jonathan? Anybody?
But they
Jonathan
haven't
is
seen the
expert.
topic yet.
Sorry?
Jonathan is expert.
Oh, okay. Hey, don't scare them away. I need somebody.
Is there a topic? I don't see the topic.
Oh,
Yeah.
the topic is still a secret. Is that a volunteer?
Wilson can do it, Wilson.
Never mind. Whoever volunteer now is the second person. So Jonathan is the one will be surprised. You will have 2 minutes to prepare.
Okay, can I do it?
All right. Thank you, Wilson. Thank you very much. All right. Jonathan, here's your topic. Where am I? Okay, here. I do not mind big companies reading all my data. Are you good? I don't mind big companies reading all my data. Whenever you're ready.
Don't mind big companies.
You can be for and against. Anything
Okay.
is your stand. Yeah, you can be anything.
Good evening, fellow members of Agora Speakers Club. Social media is very pervasive and we enjoy the experiences that it brings to us because it brings us connected to the rest of the world. However, these networks also have another purpose, and that is to earn big bucks. And the big bucks are earned by selling our data to the advertisers. That's why I never get any ads for Victoria's Secret. Neither will Shona get any ads for football boots because they know they have and they mine the data that we have given away so freely. So do I mine? Yes, I do, because when the mining is being done on all the data that they capture from our interactions, it's a cost that we are not aware we are paying. I rather have a uncensored access to the different news points or the different ads that come into my view. These social media giants love to target you. I rather be untargeted because I don't mind seeing the news coming from the left or from the right. The reason why politicians love social media or love buying social media ads is because they can target them to the voter base based on the certain preferences. So what you receive is basically an echo chamber. Hence, I want to extract myself from this echo chamber. That's why I am opposed to companies reading all my data. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Jonathan. That was amazing. Very well reasoned. All right, Wilson, are you ready?
Okay.
All
Yep.
right. So now you need to argue that you don't mind. Yeah?
Right, can.
All right, take it away.
Okay, I think just like what Jonathan has mentioned, once we provide certain data, and nowadays the search engine is so powerful that when we click on some web page, or Facebook page, we will immediately be introduced to related advertisements to our search results or even our interests. So for me personally, because I am someone who is passionate about personal development, and I have signed some online courses as well. So whenever I go to those pages, I would, and when I scroll through my Facebook profile, Facebook timeline, I would see related online platform which offer courses. And I think for me personally, I wouldn't mind providing some data to, for example, like what I like to see, what I like to listen to, so that I can get the recommendations for what I'm interested in. And on one hand, we can see that the marketers and the companies, they have this advantage in the sense that they are more targeted. They can be more targeted in terms of the audience. And on the other hand, the audience also benefited because when we get the relevant messages, we don't need to go through the hustle and go through the unnecessary filters to get the information that we need or we want. Because right now, we want information and some insight as fast as we can, so that we can make decision, so that we can take the course that we want, and we can grow and learn at the pace that we like. So personally, I don't mind giving my data to those companies. Yep. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Wilson. Hang on, let me open this back. All right. So I hope this format is good. I think we had a good discussion here. Very well, good points on both ends, which I really enjoyed. So hopefully the other topics can stimulate the same kind of discussion. So thank you again both to Jonathan and Wilson for getting the ball rolling. See?
Yes. Pedestrians belong on the pavement, cars belong on the road, which is how it should be. And bicycles, well, I can't decide for them, but they do have a lot of bicycle places, bicycle pathways that have been designed for them nowadays in Singapore. And they also can always go to the park or go to the beach where they can always ride their bicycles there. So I really do believe that pedestrians do belong on the road. If not, how are we ever going to be able to keep ourselves safe? I'm not talking about those drunkard drivers that do not know how to drive and they drive onto the pavement. That is not what I'm covering today. But I do believe that pedestrians should be where they are, cars should be where they are, and that maintains the law and order. Thank you.
Thank you, Rihanna. Short and sweet, I like it. All right, Casey. Undo her.
Yeah. Okay, but okay, my turn. Thanks, Rihanna. You didn't talk about the bicycle.
Yeah, little bit.
The topic is pedestrian belongs to the pavement, cars belongs on the road, bicycle belongs to where? I think bicycle is privilege. Bicycle should be belongs to the pavement and the road.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, it is because it is privileged. It's pedaled by the legs on the wheels. The cars are not, the cars are moved by the engines. So it's still human energy. So it deserves the right to be on the pavement. We talk about laws. Day one, when the government has allowed bicycle to be on the pavement. So they have all the rights to it, unless, it wasn't allowed in the beginning. But so I will conclude that there's no argument that bicycle belongs to the pavement and the road. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you, Casey. Okay, I think the topic a bit funny. Let me try something else. Buying new will always be superior to buying second-hand. Buying new will always be superior to buying second-hand. Kapil, are you ready?
Okay, I'll go with the topic. Yeah, I'm in for it.
All right.
So yeah, I totally agree with this thing that buying a new one will always be superior than buying a second hand. In terms of everything which I have learned so far, I have always been keen on buying new books right from my school age, because somehow when I was studying, like I had option of buying old books as well as new books, but new books have always given me a pleasure of reading. Reading from someone else book, like the old books which are underlined, they don't give me that pleasure of reading at all. Similarly, if I want to buy used clothes, I would not like to wear them. Buying new doesn't mean that buying expensive. I would rather buy something which is inexpensive, but I would like to buy which is comfortable and new. Like I'm the first time wearer of that. So a lot of people may think that buying new means buying expensive. Like I'm not that branded guy who would like go out and buy something which is expensive just because it is expensive. But I would go out and buy something new, which is gives me some kind of feeling of brightness to uh, uh, to invest in something which is new. Similarly with cars, like I have never had, I have bought small cars just to drive a new car. I know like people go out and buy a old car just to learn driving. That is fine, but I still would prefer a new car which is an inexpensive car rather than go out and find and buy an old car. So yes, I totally agree with the topic. Thank you.
All right. Excellent, Kapil. Thank you very much. So Jeffrey, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. Take it away.
I always believe that buying second-hand is always better than the first-hand. Why? Come, let's take on Kapil's 3 items. Books.
Wow.
Do you know what's in store? Do you know what's in store in the second-hand book? Okay, they can be notes, special writing, help you to highlight certain things, especially books that you buy for studies. You know, the first-hand book is blank, totally blank, brand new, 6 pages, but no notes at all. Buy the second-hand book of the same textbook. You know what you got? You will get treasures, lots of treasures. Their notes, their scribblings, and this may help you, get some points in easily. Their treasures, really. Shirts. Comfortable. Second-hand, I don't even want to buy. Pass me out hand-me-downs. Right? Because it's very comfortable. People have been using it already. Of course, it's not the tattered and torn type, okay? But it's totally comfortable. It can even be free. Even the new design clothes, sometimes they need to tatter and torn themselves, then it becomes a new design for people to wear and sell it at a high price, right? Which I already can get it tattered and torn from someone else, even for free. Save the money, okay? Right. And then cars. Do you know that getting first-hand cars, the depreciation is so high for the first few years? Getting second car, you can use buy now, 1, 2 years later, clear away. It's really very cost-effective. And of course, it's not to the extent that you can't move the car. The car also can be of good quality also. Okay, and third, and my next point, the last point will be antiques. All antiques are second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth hand, not even second hand. And they are pricey. Definitely superior. Okay, right? Thank you very much. Second hand, go for it. Thank you.
All right. Excellent job, Jeffrey. Thank you very much, Jeffrey and Kapil. Very good arguments from both sides. I enjoyed it very much.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the sugar tax. I have no, right now I'm not very familiar with the details of the sugar tax, but I believe that the best way and a fairly practical way to tackle conditions like diabetes and obesity is not through the law or through financial means, but it's really through the mind over matter. And that a person who is suffering from diabetes or obesity must be convinced that he or she should change himself, should change his or her habits, whether it's dietary habits or whether it's exercise habits. And in so doing, then they can change their health conditions. I think just paying taxes or making the person pay taxes it may cause a bit of pain, but after a while, this person will find the money to pay the tax and will resume his bad old habits. So to me, that is not tackling the problem at the root. Really at the root is the mind, is the heart, is the spirit. And if all those intentions are well aligned, strongly, no tax will, whatever taxes that are levied on the person will not be effective. That's my point of view. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Gwen, that was a very good point, well reasoned. Now we need one person to argue against you.
So I agree that we should tax. I do understand where Gwen is coming from, and after a while they will find the money to make it, but at least they will curb them or at least reduce them to take to reduce them from, I mean, reducing them from taking more sugar if there's a tax imposed. Just like I understand that, like ERP, after a while people get used to it and they still have to travel that way, so it's no choice. But the sugars that initially it will guide them and it will help them to keep up. And I think that if they get into the habit of doing that, they will probably be able to, if not eliminate completely, but at least they can reduce the intake, because they're so used to getting reduced intake. At least it will reduce and it will help them in managing their diabetes. That's what I feel. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Rihanna. Very good example with the ERP. I was hoping somebody would say cigarettes or something like that, because it's pretty much the same story about habits and behaviors. All right. Thank you everybody for participating. I'm running out of time. I can see it on Carlson's screen. I have like 30 seconds left. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this session. Hopefully we can try this again. I like having two people go against each other and try to get the counterpoints across. Special mention to Jeffrey. He remembered all Kapil's points and then shoot back one by one. Wow, very steady. Good job, Jeffrey. All right, that's all for me. I'll give back to the MC, who is Thomas.
Yeah, thank you, Chong Lim. Carlson, can we have the timekeeper's report? Is on time, is it?
Yeah, it's on time, and most of the speakers are able to keep to 2 minutes time. Well done.
For our next speaker, we need to get feedback. Casey, the prepared speech speaker is Anne-Marie. She's going to be given 7 minutes for her speech. And to introduce Anne-Marie, she's a chief editor for Agora Node. If there's ever an Oscar award for positive capoism, Anne-Marie might win it hands down. So are you a capo with it?
Very much so. Thank you.
Okay, rightfully and legally so, as she's a counselor, a teacher, and this means she's responsible to be in the affair and business of those she counsel and teach. She is also pivotal in volunteerism in Singapore. She has represented Singapore at United Nations meeting and Commonwealth Foundation collaboration on volunteerism. She was instrumental in the setting up of the National Volunteer and Philanthropy Center, the Retired Senior Volunteer Center, and the Value in Action for All School in Singapore. Anne-Marie is also Singapore National Sport Representative in International Lawn Bowl competition. Tonight, she's volunteering to share with us how to undo negative health. You have 7 minutes, Anne-Marie.
Thank you very much, Thomas. And I'd just like to give my appreciation to Casey for being the Vice President of Education for Agora Notes. And I have a question for everyone. What do you think is more important? Food as medicine or medicine as food?
Food as medicine.
Thank you, Rahana. You raised your hand.
One. I said one.
Yes,
the first
one.
one.
Absolutely. Yeah, one is very, very important. And I really like to give my appreciation to Casey for voluntarily helping me and SAIS to come up with beautiful virtual reality backgrounds like what I have here. And he's very, very generous. And if I may ask the production team to allow me to screen share, please. Thank you very much. Hi, this is a short sharing of this book, Undo It, which was gifted by my good friend Carol. And this is taken from chapter 4, which is focusing on Eat Well. The book is by Dr. Dean Onish and also his partner, Anne Onish. Now, we look at an Arabic saying, and this Indian saying is quite interesting. When diet is wrong, medicine is of no use. When diet is right, medicine is of no need. So here we look at food pharmacopoeia, that is food as medicine. So we ask, what's the best medicine? What's the best food? It's whole foods, plant-based diet. So whole foods means in its natural state, and plant-based, not meat, but plants. So we look at good carbs and good proteins. Choices: vegetables, fruits, whole grains, which would be beans, lentils, dry peas, legumes, soya products, which I personally like very much, nuts and seeds. Of course, nuts and seeds because they have quite a bit of oil, moderate amount. So the main principles are natural unprocessed state, what you see in the diagram, rather than those in cans and jars, although those are more convenient. We partake of less oil, less sodium, and we should up our fiber intake. Now we look at protein-based diet based on plants. Is it possible? A lot of people still think that you need to eat meat to have the best protein. That's not the case when you combine the foods as we see here: rice and beans, tacos and beans, tofu and rice, which is one of my favorite, mapo tofu, which is really spicy, in Sichuan style. It's very nice. Pasta and beans in different sauces, and black-eyed peas and rice. So all this, as you can see in the picture combined, is quite delectable, quite delicious as well. Now, Dr. Dean Onish has completed some convincing studies, and using diet, he has really averted a lot of illnesses with the heart. So when he gave a decrease in fat intake in his respondents, there are no new coronary artery blockages. But when again they increase the fat, there's actually more coronary artery blockages in the heart. And when they substitute good carbs, which we mentioned before, whole foods, vegetables, you see two bonuses: decrease in severity as well as decrease in the number of coronary artery blockages. Now, coronary artery blockages are very, very dangerous. As you can compare these two arteries, the one on the left is the normal artery, with the endothelium, which is the inside lining of the artery, still very pliable. So you can imagine it's like a young pipe, very pliable, and the artery wall is to protect it. However, if you have a diseased artery, that means one partakes of too much oil, you can get a lot of plaque on the side, which is like thickened fat and blood clots. When this happens, it can be quite dangerous, and depending where the clot goes, it can result in strokes and heart attacks. So let's embark on a much healthier diet to stay healthy. Thank you for your kind attention, and I wish you all the best in your choices for a healthy lifestyle. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And just one final reminder: less fat, more fiber. Less fat, more fiber. More vegetable, more whole foods, like what you see in the natural form. Like I used to take a lot of Campbell's soup just for convenience. So I've learned also not to buy processed foods. With that, food pharmacopoeia should be the way to go. Eat natural, eat fresh, and everyone stay safe. Back to you, Thomas. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Carlson, how many minutes did Anne take for the whole thing?
It took 6 minutes and 20 seconds.
Okay. Well, within the 7 minutes. Now, before I call the evaluators up, I understand that evaluator number 1 is supposed to address this question. What did the speaker want? What did the speaker get? Did the speaker achieve what she set out to do? What advice would you like to share with the speaker? I call upon Lawrence Lee to do the first evaluation.
Good evening, President, fellow speakers and guests, and congratulations to Anne-Marie. Your presentation is very clear and it reflects your good education. Why? Because it starts with reference. You have reference, you have quotation. And in this sense, this is good because here you put yourself forward as an authoritative figure. What you are saying is of value and of substance. And indeed, you did very well on that. You had your slide, you have your presentation. You talk about the Ayurveda, how do they look at diet versus medicine, and also protein, plant-based diet, and eat less bread. So the speech is good, you're very clear. Your challenge would be, sometimes you do have actually a lot of points. The challenge is how much can the listener pick up? And that's always a challenge for any speaker because there's so much, because your materials is so rich and informative. And definitely we want to learn. If we want to eat well, stay healthy, and eat natural. So this will be a challenge. And for my feedback to you is that to keep this in mind also, what out of so much point, how can you bring down to certain essential point and to drive it in so that it just don't get into our head, but also get into our heart. Why it is so important that we really eat well, because if we don't get eating well right, the medicine is useless. So your first two basic questions was very good. Where is our emphasis? So it's a good speech, and I look forward to listen to your second speech. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Lawrence. Now, for the second evaluator, Rihanna is supposed to address the following question. How much time did the speaker spend on the opening? How much time did he spend on each segment of the body? How much time did he spend on the conclusion? And what advice would you like to share with the speaker? Rihanna?
Okay, so it was a very well crafted speech. I think she covered all the points that she needed to cover. I like her opening statement. I like the body where she shared a little bit more details about the arteries and all that. So that really, I would say she managed to cover what she wanted to say, and she wanted to emphasize about eating whole grain foods, natural, and how it will affect or impact us in our life. So I think the speech was very detailed, but yet not too overpowering. I didn't find it that overpowering. So it was quite comfortable with the pace and quite comfortable with what she spoke of. And I think the conclusion also, she reiterated the point in the beginning of what she said about do you want your food to be medicine, or do you want your medicine as your food? So, and in the end, if you eat natural, and she reiterated about that if you eat natural and well, it will benefit you, and you can have your food. You need not have your food as your medicine. Need not have medicine as your food. So I think it was a good crafted speech. Maybe you might want to share one or two examples of what would happen if, like, if you didn't, besides the arteries and all that. So maybe you want to add a live example of someone who had a problem because they did not eat natural food, or someone who got better after eating whole food. Maybe that would make it a bit more realistic rather than just theory. So that's my 2 cents worth. Thank you so much. It was a great speech. Awesome.
Thank you, Rahana. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rahana. Carlson, the evaluator, did they stick to the time? Or whose is that? 1 minute 56. Is that Lawrence Lee?
No, that's a Rihanna. For Lawrence, it's the 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
Very good. All the evaluator are within the time frame of 3 minutes that's given. Now for the second speaker, and the topic is on abundance. We have Mr. Lawrence Lee.
How many of you like to feel that you live in abundance or have a sense of abundance? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will present this speech using these 3 questions. What is abundance? Why? And how? First, the what. I'm going to use a quotation from William Blake. How you can see the world in a grain of sand, in a grain of sand, and heaven in a wildflower. Hold infinity in your palm, eternity in an hour. Abundance itself could be so rich and yet so little and so small. We can talk about infinity. We can talk about the whole world, but it's also in a grain of sand. Why? Because abundance, you have to experience it. And you can live life in abundance or in lack, scarcity, and limitation. So this is a very important topic. And for you to think about, my objective is to plant a seed of abundance in your mind. And now let me give you some example. For example, go to the library. You have thousands of books. How much can you read? And it's all free, as long as you're a Singapore citizen. Isn't this abundance? Can you say that I got nothing to read? And now, okay, COVID-19, but we have the internet. What's behind the internet? It's all the connection. Google, YouTube, all resources are available. So do you say there are abundance? There are. It's up to you. In fact, abundance could be overflowing. That's how powerful abundance is. But yet, abundance can be also a challenge because some people in the stage of life, they only got 2 meals a day. They just barely pass the day, the week, and the month. But the important thing, do they also need to have this abundance mindset? And that's what abundance. You can't really define exactly because abundance could be in so many areas, in relationship, in your finance, in business, in your networking. All these are abundance. So you need to discover it for yourself. And you can look at this topic. That's the what. You can say, so what? Who cares? I'm not interested. You better be interested. Because if you can see and feel abundance, you know you could have so much more. And I'm not talking about your position in life right now, but all of you remember what you could be. It's not now, but what you could be, and not your being now, but what can you be becoming. And this can come about because you can see and you can understand and you appreciate the abundance. Then you would look out for it. You open your eyes, open your mind, open to the abundance around you. And that's important because this affects your life, affect how you behave, how you think, how you value your own life. If you can't see that, it's very sad. I mean, like me, my own experience, I wasn't a good student. Actually, I'm so bad, I couldn't even get to the local university or polytechnic. Well, I had a chance. I went overseas to study. Okay. I'm fortunate. 4 years in England, work in America. Then my mind's open up. I stay in an all-white area in America, all-black area in Chicago. And another abundance. You know how many countries in the world? About 200 countries in the world. It's up to you. And it's important that you have that sense of abundance. So the what, why is you. How? The how, very important. The first thing is the how. You must appreciate abundance. If you don't appreciate it, there's no abundance for you. Fine, that is your choice. And it's so very important. And why do I choose to give this speech? Because I want to give you a 21 days of abundance practice. And this is by Deepa Chopra. I will put it up on Agora website, Agora WhatsApp. And if you want, you can sign on, and it's 21 days. Then you have a sense of abundance and live the abundance. And don't forget My initial quote: see the world in a grain of sand. A wildflower, heaven in a wildflower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand. Eternity in an hour. That's how we reach abundance. Abundance means possibilities for you. Abundance means potential for you. It's your choice. I hope you enjoyed this speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Lawrence. Wow, exactly 7 minutes. Wow, very good. Now I call upon our first evaluator, Penny. Would you like to do us the honor to evaluate Lawrence?
Agora, let's talk about Lawrence. Lawrence, I'm going to evaluate you on the arts. A for analysis, all the very great bits. R for recommendations to improve. T for technique, and S for summary. First, what is really good with Lawrence? Lawrence is a very intelligent, deliberate, and authentically researched speaker. He stands up, ladies and gentlemen, and he talks about any subject. He's got his facts, he delivers, and he delivers with conviction. And tonight is also in there. Lawrence, we applaud you. You are always in control. You take it very, very seriously. And we really, really like that. Now, it's a very, very important subject on abundance. And Lawrence, you also gave us on our message, abundance in life, abundance in money, abundance in lifestyle, and all sorts of abundance. But your message underlyingly was to remember that once we've got all these physical things, these physical commodities, are we really feeling contented and abundant? That underlying message was provocative, and I applaud you for that. Now, what can Lawrence do to enhance his message recommendation? Because Lawrence is so serious and so convicted, Lawrence, we always need to have your color. We need to have your story, a little personal story to share with us how you were not abundant one time and found abundance. Lawrence, you can do this. You've got personality. You've got stories. You're a character. We want that so, so much. Try very hard not to be so theoretically driven, and let us get drawn and intimate with your story and your authenticity and your learning. Technique, style, very, very good. Lawrence is always incredibly rehearsed. He's always the one arriving half an hour before time, getting ready to stand up and speak. In summary, strong, factual, researched, objective, absolutely authentic, but we really need to have more emotion from you with that wonderful, wonderful personalization and own story. Lawrence, thank you very much.
Thank you, Penny, for your evaluation. Very insightful. May I call the second one to come to evaluate? Shauna?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Lawrence, very much for that talk on abundance. I like the way you started speaking about what William Blake said, and then how you said it was a beautiful image of, or a beautiful concept of having to see the whole world in a grain of sand and the heaven in flower. And eternity in an hour. I thought that just brought everything down to everything that's accessible. It's actually everything is in your hand. The eternity is in an hour, and the world is in your hand. So I think the power was there, and then it was up to you. And that itself summed up the whole speech of abundance. And then you went on to say what, why, and how, which was again 3 points that we could look out for. And you went on to speak about what abundance is about. And you said that it's something that you have to experience to know it. And without that, you will not know what it is if you are not open-minded. And how, you went on to how from there, and for which you said you have to be open-minded, and you must see the value in it. Unlike if you feel that you don't have it, then you don't have it. The only way you experience is it by feeling that you have it, and knowing and feeling is the way to experience abundance. And finally, you went to the practice of how you can do it, was you said by practicing it, by being more grateful and being aware of what you have, so that you realize that you really have, there is abundance here. I think that was a very beautiful talk. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Shauna. Thank you, Shauna. So all spoke within the time frame. Yeah, Shauna is 1 minute 47 seconds. Actually, when you talk about the abundance, to me, I always look at it as the abundant life. And abundant life is sometimes can be very subjective. And a lot of time we are not grateful for it, especially Singaporean, we take so many things for granted. Abundant life is like our entitlement. But when you look around, especially this COVID-19, when you look around the other region, the other countries, and sometimes, they really struggle to put food on the table, to even have an option in life, to do things that they want to do. They just don't have choices. And to me, that's the abundant life, to be able to have choices to do what we like to do. Okay, the time now is 7:35. We're supposed to have a 5-minute break. Shall we take a longer break than 5 minutes because we are ahead of time? Let's come back at 7:45. Okay?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt you all. It's time for us to get back to our second part of our meeting. I hope you have a good break. Now, before I invite Kapil Chawla to speak on his topic, okay? All right, let me introduce Kapil Chawla to you. We know him from the start of our online meeting, and since he's been a regular with Agora Singapore. He's trained a level 2 EFT therapist and Reiki Grandmaster. They also hold a diploma in NLP and a trained life coach, empowering many lives. And tonight, he has 7 minutes. Tonight, he's going to speak to us about, are you afraid of public speaking? An introduction to EFT. Kapil, would you like to go ahead?
Okay, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank everyone, the team member and the president, to invite me and speak on this. And I'll start now. My introduction question is, are you afraid of public speaking? Like when we join clubs like this, mostly it's because of the fear of public speaking. And we tried our willpower to overcome this speech or public fear by doing exercises and forcing against the will. But it doesn't, it takes a lot of time and effort to actually overcome the will. And there are other fears as well. Like the fear what we have of public speaking is basically a learned fear. It doesn't come by birth. Like I believe that every child born is a public speaker. Only after having some negative feedback or learning this fear, one becomes uh, fearful of public speaking. Now, if this fear of public speaking can be reversed, it's possible to do a willpower training like we have in Agora, or we can use a simple technique. What I'm going to introduce you to is something known as EFT. EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, or people also call it tapping. But before sharing something about EFT, I, I would like to introduce myself, how I am qualified to introduce you to EFT. By day profession, I'm a lawyer. I have a law graduate degree in law, and I hold an MBA. And my first graduate degree is bachelor's in computer science. So that doesn't qualify me to teach you or introduce you to EFT. Actually, I learned level 2 EFT training from Maggie Eddickson. She's an Australian coach who has been trained by the master who actually invented EFT, Gary Craig. So I am in third in the line of the hierarchy. Now, that makes me qualified to teach you or to introduce you to EFT. I'm also a Grand Master in Reiki, and I have a diploma in neuro-linguistic programming from Australia, Inspirative Australia, and I have a certification in life coaching from CLI, Canada. So that makes me qualified to introduce this subject. Now, what is EFT? EFT, if I put it in a very simple words, EFT stands for acupressure for emotions. Like most of you who know about acupressure would know that acupressure, when we do acupressure, we use various meridian points in our body to help us heal the physical ailment we have. But this EFT is used for emotional ailment. For example, if you have fear of public speaking, or fear of toys, or fear of getting married, or some kind of addiction. Basically, EFT has been derived from combination of TCM, that's traditional Chinese medicine, and energy psychology, which is the combination of two used by Gary Craig, and he invented this therapy called, or technique called EFT. It's very easy to learn this technique. It's very quick and easy to implement. And it's got very fast results, because if we go to previous therapies like talking therapy, it takes a lot of time. But in EFT, it just happens quickly. Where session or two, just fears get lost. And success rate compared to other talk therapies or other conventional therapies is very high in this, like 80 to 90% is the result. And it works in conjunction with other therapies, like one can use it with other therapies very easily. Then what EFT is used for? Like fears, I've already told you, any kind of phobias, any addictions, like, and addictions including food addictions. So it can be used for weight management. People who are obsessive because of overeating, they can use it for that. Some kind of emotional trauma, physical emotion, or emotional pains, allergies, sensitiveness, some kind of self-image issues, confidence issues, success and abundance issue. One of our friends was talking about abundance. So that can be used, this therapy can be used for that. I'll give you an example of myself. Like I had a trauma issue with my mother, and like I used this therapy to overcome that trauma. One of them, my client, like she had an issue with rotating toys. I used that for overcoming, used EFT for overcoming that. Then I had another client. She had problem with getting married. Like she was afraid of getting married. So I helped her resolve that. So basically what I introduced you to a subject called or therapy called EFT, the emotional freedom technique, which helps people to overcome their fears, phobia, and is very useful when if a person is interested in removing these kind of fears or addictions. Thank you for now. That's what I wanted to share.
Thank you, Kapil. You took 6 minutes, 57 seconds. Good. Now I'm going to invite the first evaluator, Samantha, to evaluate Kapil.
Hi, Agora. Thank you, Kapil, for your wonderful speech. This speech is very appropriate for us because we are all public speakers. We love public speaking. And this can be very appropriate that to teach us how to control our emotion. Well, this is a right platform and right audience. Well, you also tell us your background. You are a lawyer, you are linguistic professions in linguistic profession. So this will also improve your credibility of your speech. So at least we know that you are professional, we hear from you. You also told us the advantage of, is it acupuncture or acupressure? I didn't hear you properly. Is it acupuncture or
acupressure? Acupressure.
Acupressure, okay. Well, that's a technique, emotion phobia techniques to help us to reduce our fear. Well, that is something that broaden our mind so that when we want to control our fear, we know who to look for. That is very appropriate for us. We hear you loud and clear, you are confident. The only thing is when I look at the screen, I saw you keep shaking and not stable. When you do presentation, when you present your speech, probably it will be better if you sit upright, present to the audience. And you also give us example on yourself, how you benefit from there, your clients, and there are improvements, but you didn't elaborate what are the improvements, how they improve, how you improve on it, how you benefit from it. From zero to hero, that is what we want to listen. What the story that from zero to hero, how do you benefit from it? It will be good if you illustrate more. And show us some of the technique, because you show us the technique and the how to control fear, but you didn't show us the technique that you use. Maybe do a bit of demonstration that will be more convincing. I would suggest if you give a stronger opening of your speech and an ending of your speech, that will be good. Perhaps you can ask the audience. There are 4-letter words that start with F, make you excited and frightening. Do you know what is that? Probably somebody will think likewise some funny words, but you just say, oh, it's fear, F-E-A-R. Okay, all the best. I want to hear more from you to how to control the emotion phobia technique. More about the technique. Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha. How was the time for Samantha? 3 minutes, okay. Penny, you're next on the line.
Yes, I am. Thank you very much indeed. Agora, good evening once again to you. This, for everybody and for our main speaker, was an enormously intelligent and factual message to us. We appreciated that research, that cleverness, and that articulation of thought. I'm going to evaluate using the arts, A for analysis, all the very great bits, R for recommendations to improve, T for technique, and S for summary. Yes, the speech was absolutely intelligent right throughout. And the interesting thing was, we all realized that this man is a lawyer. Look at the array of books behind him. There is the intelligence, and our speaker has brought that knowledge to all of us in a very practical and sensible sense. It was structured, it was sequential, and it was very, very solid. Thank you so much. We enjoyed it and we got some sort of message. Recommendations to improve. As always with super intelligent people, which, ladies and gentlemen, I'm kind of intelligent, but not quite at the depth of our speaker, philosophy. I really need to help. We need to soften the blow of effective messaging. We need to have a story. We need to dump the NLP. What is NLP? We all know, if we're trainers, neuro-linguistic programming, but we need to have that elaborated with a life story from somebody struggling to somebody getting successful. We must have that to accentuate the message to all of us and inject positive importance. Technique, very good, well rehearsed, you know your subject. In summary, great knowledge, great theory, thank you. We see your focus, but please inject wonderful color, wonderful story, add to everything and ensure that when you finally get to your ending, from your story, from your theory, you give us a call to action for effective understanding to us. We missed that. But all in all, great, intelligent. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Penny, for your evaluation. Right on the dot, 3 minutes. Before I go on to the next speaker, Rahana.
Good evening, Agora. Let me ask you a couple of questions and you ponder about it. Have you held a crystal in your hand? And how did it look? So nice to admire, so beautiful, so shiny, and clarity, and full of hope, full of vision. Now I want you to ponder and there are times in our life where we are just like that crystal. We have crystal clarity in whatever we want to do. We are so sure about something that we want to do that there's no brainer, and we channel all our energy and focus into it, and we can do everything that we possibly want because there's no other choice. That's what we want, and we are so sure of it. At other times, we are also faced with inability to choose, or we can't decide what we want, or we are not clear on what we want. Like choosing between chocolate and vanilla. By the way, vanilla is the obvious choice, but it's just that we can't make that choice at that moment. Today's topic is about finding crystal. You may think this topic is about gemstones. I'm sure you thought it was that. But it was clearly my objective to make sure to confuse you. Why? Today's topic about finding crystal is about finding crystal clarity. Ah, now you say, now it makes sense. I'm not finding my friend crystal or crystallites, but finding crystal clarity in your life. You see, when you have clarity in your life, you have focus, you have understanding, you can see things clearly, you have the energy, the momentum to gear and do whatever you want, and you're sure of everything. But when you have no clarity, you are confused, indecisive, you don't have you lack the energy, the momentum that you need to gear yourself because you do not know which direction you want to go. Where do you want to go? It could affect your sales. People don't trust you because you look incompetent. You're not sure of what you're saying or what you're doing. You could lose a sale because of that. Your relationships with people, you cannot connect or you cannot communicate with them because you're not sure of where you're heading or what your clarity in your thoughts. Why do we need clarity? Today, I will use my story to share with you on why you need clarity in your life. It all started when I was asked to speak at today's Agora meeting. That was a challenge. I had to think up of a nice topic that I had to impress everyone with. I was clear that my topic, my speech was going to be impressionable, inspiring, motivate you to run across burning coals, irregardless of your poor feet. That was what I wanted to do. I was clear on that. I wanted to inspire everyone. Then I looked at the list of speakers. Wow, powerful speakers today. And I had to match up to that, of course. So I had to come up with a topic that was, wow, powerful, that was different, because I did not want to be like the speakers that were speaking today. I wanted to be different. I wanted to be special. I wanted to be impressed. But I still didn't have a topic to speak. I was not clear what I was going to speak on. But I knew certain things I was clear on, and I didn't know what I wanted to clear on. I could speak on atomic energy. COVID-19? Spoken too many times. Dinosaurs? By the way, I'm not very good in atomic energy, so I won't speak on that. Anyway, days began to become 1 week. And I only had 2 days left to come up with a topic to give to Casey to let them know what I was speaking on. Oh my God, this is a problem, a terrible problem. Can you imagine me, Rehana Abdullah, intervention coach, couldn't even come up with a topic to speak? How would that do for my reputation? Don't worry about Agora, but my reputation? Oh my God, I couldn't let that happen. I couldn't let anyone, look at me and say, Rehana, intervention coach, can't even come up with a topic. Why? I was not clear on my objectives. I was not clear on what I wanted to share with you. Because I was thinking how to impress rather than express. I was not clear on that. And I didn't know. But then it hit me like a crystal hitting my head suddenly. And then I realized what I had to speak on. Clarity. And when I realized that, I was unstoppable and unbelievable. I was at 2 a.m. working on my computer, and it just took me 30 minutes to get the whole speech done. Tip top. Oh my God. When you're clear, you know where you're heading, your direction, you know how fast you want to get there, and you will be there. So let me ask you today, do you have clarity in your life? Are you clear on your values, on your mission, on what vision you see for yourself, who you move with, who you want to be, who you don't want to be. Even that is clarity. When you don't want something, that itself is also needs clarity. Because if you do not know what you want, at least you know you don't want, you are not going to go there. And clarity will manifest in all that you do and you do not do. Because it will attract whatever you think about. And so, I would like you to really ponder. And I want you to bring back this today. Even though my speech may be humorous, it's not up to very in-depth, but I want you to think about this. And I want you to bring it back and understand why you need to find clarity in your life. So my final test now is you. Was I clear in what I wanted to deliver? And did I deliver all my inspiration, being different, challenging myself, being novel, being focused? And I will leave you with that, my audience, to decide whether I have motivated you to walk, maybe not on the burning coal, but at least motivated you to find clarity. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahana. A little bit outside the 7 minutes given to you, but that's okay. Can I have Jeffrey to do the first evaluation?
All right, thank you. Hi, Agora. Don't you find Rihanna very drama? And look at her dressing today. Turquoise blue, tudung, white, and her eyes sparkle. She personified a crystal. Right, from the first impression, the way she speaks, within the first 30 seconds, I can see the crystal in her. And it's really crystal all the way throughout the 7 minutes, 30 seconds. Okay, and focus on topic crystal. She wants us to take away what's not being crystal clear about. And this really stumbles everybody. For the first part, she explained about what should crystal clear be, what should it be, and got us to visualize what's goodness about being crystal clear in mind. Okay, not about the object, but in mind. Then, after that, she brings in what happened when you're not crystal clear, where you fumble, you got lost. Okay, and she'll share with us her personal story, encounter of being to be the speaker for the day. And because she cannot get her topic right, because she focused on impressing but not expressing, right? And so she really don't know what to do. And she did share that, okay, it can be a long while to be unclear. But the moment she got it, things are done within 30 minutes at 2 a.m. I think this is really very wonderful. Okay, share with us her fumbles, and there's a messaging. The main key message is being crystal clear. Okay, and how to end. However, I think one thing to improve is she really didn't tell us how to get over it. She mentioned to us the process of ups and downs, but she didn't inform us about how to get over it, even in a quicker manner. Okay, right? But overall, definitely, I enjoyed the speech a lot. Super drama, super fun. Humorous at the same time, emotional at the same time. Yes, you express well and you impress too. Great job, Rihanna. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. 2 minutes, 39 seconds. Now I call upon Gwen to be the next evaluator. Gwen?
Thank you. Hi. Good evening, everyone, and especially to Rihanna. Well, your topic really was very misleading from the outset. I thought you are a crystal lover and you were about to expound on all your theories and your fancies about what kind of crystals would do what good to all of us. But no, it was really quite entertaining and quite fun to realize that you actually for leading us up the garden path. But no matter, it was a good ploy to captivate our attention. Now, so my role as the second evaluator is actually to look at the time you spend on your intro, your body, and I believe your introduction, your conclusion. Now, your introduction was 1 minute 11 seconds. Your conclusion was roughly 1 minute 10 seconds. Now, so it was quite, well, the body was quite a lot. Now, I feel that your introduction was very good. It was very entertaining. It was giving us, leading us to a story of how it's like we are going into a labyrinth and we were wondering, where are you leading us up to? So finally, we saw the light at the end of the tunnel. So likewise, you were trying to tell us the moral of your story, your speech is that in life, we need clarity on all the things we do. Because without clarity, you will be very slow and you're living kind of, you know, from day to day without much motivation, much energy. But as soon as clarity is there, everything, you know, will be all moving very fast. Okay, now having said that, what I agree with you that clarity is very important in knowing in terms of what you want to do with your life and how, etc., so that we can pursue a certain cause, a certain dream in life. I also believe that perhaps you could have injected the fact that besides clarity, you also need energy. Because although some people may have the clarity, but they lack the energy. So Rihanna, you are different because you have the great energy to inject into the speech at the 11th hour, which not everybody can have. And not everybody has that kind of eloquence and quick thinking to do it so fast too. So perhaps I wouldn't, if I were another person, I would try to work on this a lot faster, earlier than the 11th hour. Now, having said that, I think your introduction gels well with your conclusion, which ends nicely with a call to action that all of us really must have clarity in our life. So overall, I think it was a great speech, full of clarity, and I think very entertaining. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gwen, for your evaluation. Now we come to our last speaker for this evening, and he's Wilson Low. Wilson graduated from NTU with a degree in business administration. He then embarked on a journey which was unconventional as compared to his peers by pursuing a career in the social service sector, managing cases and working with families to solve their family emotional, psychological, and financial issues. Wilson is not a perfect guy. He has his own vulnerabilities, just like everyone else. He has gone through a period of low self-confidence and self-esteem, and he realized that he's not the only one who experiences these issues and struggles. Many people could have experienced it at any one point in their life. However, he believes that our vulnerabilities can be transformed into strength and superpower to make an impact in others' lives. He is an ordinary guy who's on a quest to accomplish extraordinary dreams, and he loves to share his learning journey, encounters, and experiences with anyone on the same path, so that everyone in the community can grow and excel together. So before I get Wilson to start, I need 2 evaluators. Do I have volunteers?
Casey.
Evaluator number 1.
Casey.
Casey.
Casey?
Casey, yes.
Okay. How about evaluator number 2?
Can I invite Jonathan?
Jonathan, you be evaluator number 2. Thanks for volunteering, Jonathan. Okay, Wilson is going to speak on the 3 secrets of confidence. All yours, Wilson.
Thank you, Thomas. Good evening, Agora. And tonight, I would like to begin by sharing a little bit of myself and my background story. So this is me when I was a kid.
Oh.
Right, okay.
Wow, so fat.
You are? Yeah, okay, and I came from a small town in Malaysia at the southern state of Johor called Segamat, which is known as a durian town, as it is known for durian long time ago. And I grew up with my grandparents. I lived with them until I was about 5 years old. We didn't speak English. English is not my first language, not even my second language. English is my third language because I went to a Chinese primary school where almost all subjects were taught in Chinese. And then I went to a secondary school where almost all subjects were taught in the local Malay language. So I only started learning proper English grammar at the age of 13. And I remember when I was about 10 to 11 years old, my parents brought me for a cruise trip. And the cruise we were on was, it's called the Star Cruise. And the name of the cruise is called the Superstar Gemini. And this is the cruise that we went to. And on the cruise, I remember most of the time I was with my parents. And so I tag along them everywhere they go. But there was once when because we were having a buffet at a restaurant and both of my parents went to get their food. So I was left alone at the table. And then a waiter came to our table. I knew I wanted a cup of water that time. When he asked me if I needed anything, and when I was about to speak, the words just couldn't come out of my mouth. I swallowed my words, and the reason was because I couldn't articulate my needs well in English. I dare not speak out. And therefore, I lacked self-confidence when I was young because of my inability to communicate in English. And then after secondary school, I came to Singapore to study at the Singapore Polytechnics. And in Polytechnics, there are many projects and presentations. Now imagine, I had never done a single presentation in my entire life until that time. That was 18 years old. And then I had to learn to do all of them in English. Can you imagine how terrifying it could be for someone like me? And that was nerve-wracking experience. I still remember the butterflies in my stomach whenever I was presenting in front of a class, and I could feel my stomach cramp even after the presentations were over. That was how bad it was. But I managed to overcome my fear slowly because of the support and encouragement from my classmates and lecturers back then. So here is secret number one. Cheers help build confidence. Cheers help build confidence. No matter how a person performs, whether it's good or average, there's always something worth cheering about. For example, if someone just comes out and speaks, especially someone who's very shy, we cheer for his or her courage to step up and speak up, regardless of how well the person speaks. And that encouragement helps build confidence. And because of the cheers and the encouragement from people around me, and after many years of practice, I finally, after gaining more confidence, I finally went on stage to speak to more than 100 of people. Now imagine, from a boy who dare not even ask for a cup of water, to somebody who's able to speak on stage to hundreds of people, I learned one thing, which is the secret number two. Confidence comes from multiple small wins. Confidence is built over time, not overnight. I didn't become confident to speak to all of you tonight suddenly. If not because of all the presentations and speeches I made in the Polytechnic and university years, I wouldn't be who I am today when I'm doing public speaking. And this is closely related to secret number three. There is no failure, only feedback. There is no failure, only feedback for improvement. During the circuit breaker, I did two things. The lockdown period, I did two things. Number one, I started my first ever Facebook live sessions, and I did a few sessions of that. Number two, I started my YouTube channel without any experience of speaking in front of the camera, scripting, filming, and editing. I just want to let you know that all the live sessions and the videos that I made, they are far from perfect, polished, and professional. But if I waited to be perfect before I launched something, I wouldn't have started anything during this period of time. And how can we be better and be more confident when we don't even start at all? Remember secret number 2, confidence comes from multiple small wins. If we don't start, how can we accumulate those small wins? So for me, once I started, that is a small win for me. Even when I lose, I'm winning. Even there are not many viewers, I still win because that is a breakthrough for me. And remember, there's no failure, only feedback for improvement to learn to become better in anything we do, to learn to become a better version of ourselves in any area of your life every single day, to become a better parents, better children, better employee, better communicator, better leader, better manager, better team player, better member of the society, and citizen of the world. And how can we be better if we don't take the first step out and make the change? So, fellow Agorans, I'm sharing my personal experience of facing our inner demons and how to overcome them and coexist with them peacefully. So while I'm going through my learning journey, I would also like to support others who are going through this path as me as well. So Agora, if you are committed to help someone, to support them, to bring out the best of themselves and to cheer for them, type me in the chat box right now. Type me in the chat box right now if you're serious to support someone, and I will connect with you to support the community together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wilson, for that inspiring speech. Now I call upon Casey to do the first evaluation.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Wilson, for a very inspiring speech indeed. I've seen Wilson's from his first speech live in Agora meeting long before this lockdown. I have to say that in Mandarin, 他长大了.
Thank you. Casey.
Yeah, he's so good now. You know, he can deliver his speech so well, and I'm look forward back to our live session that I can see you speech. For me, I think you did deliver it very well. Personally, I only see that you want to tell us about the 3 pointers of confidence, and what you want is to get people to be inspired and join you in this journey of helping people. You know, but personally, I think you spent too long in your introduction. Yeah, okay. and because when you spend too long into introduction, you want people to feel you, right? Feel how it's like you're not confident, but you show a very cute picture. You know, and all the attention will go to that. Oh, so cute. You know, you actually distract people from being what do you call it?
Right.
Not confident.
Distracted.
Yeah. So I will go straight to where my problem is. I went to a cruise, you know, and I couldn't speak well, and I dare not ask for just a drink. That will be how I look at it. And you should spend more time in the 3 pointers, because the 3 pointers, if you realize, is very touch and go. And you did not really drive in that area, and you go straight into the conclusion about inviting people to join you. So that's how I take. And of course, my feedback, my final feedback to you is speak more in Agora. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Casey.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Casey. Now we have the second evaluator, Jonathan. Jonathan.
Thomas, could you just remind me what's the purpose for evaluator number 2?
Oh, okay, that's a good one.
Okay, let me help you. I will paste on the chat group again.
Yeah.
And Jonathan, you can
Yes.
you can use your own way too. All right.
Okay, let me read to you what evaluator number 2 must do. Okay, you address the following question: how much time did the speaker spend on the opening? How much time did he spend on each segment of the body? How much time did he spend on the conclusion? What advice would you like to share with the speakers?
Okay, good. Wilson, you started off very strongly. You shared about the language barriers that you encountered from schooling, encountering your third language only at the age of 13, to the cruise, and then finally into Singapore Polytechnic when you had to start from 18 with English presentations. That drew us in very well into the main body of your speech. But I felt that shortening the story, the introduction would have been helpful. Why? Because when it came to the conclusion, I felt that you rushed it a bit. So perhaps less upfront, more towards the call to action to join the community. With regards to the 3 points you made on how having a cheer squad will bring up your confidence, how the small little wins, the low-hanging fruits, wins brings you forward into your next stage. These are definitely lessons that we can all take from it. So that is the examples that you gave us, perhaps more examples, not just a theory behind them. And finally, call to action. That was a bit too short. You could inject more into what you want the community that can uplift the rest of the members who are outside this community. So all in all, I think you did splendid. You did a great job, and just take note of the timing up front so that you can have more at the third section of your speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan, for your evaluation. Now we come to this part of the program where we are going to test you on what you have heard so far, whether you've been paying attention or not. And the person to do it will be Shona George. Shona, you want to start questioning them?
It's an interesting way of putting it, Thomas. But thank you very much. I look forward to the evening, and it was wonderful listening to everyone. And what a great evening again it was, right from the start. And so let's start with the opening address from Casey. He had, as always, he has a story for us, and this time it was anybody remembers the name of the story?
Stone soup.
Stone soup, yes, yes. And what was the main ingredient that gave it all the flavor, actually, finally?
All the different.
Yes, it started with a stone, yes. And that,
All the.
yes. And all the different ingredients, and the person was able to draw everyone in with just that stone and made a pot of soup for everyone. It was a wonderful story, right, for Agora. Then we had Chong Lim with the impromptu speeches. He did it very interestingly with having a stand and a counterpoint. Anyone remembers the first point that he had for us? The first talk? Something about data.
social media data, do we want it, or we should keep away and not let them use it?
Yes. Can anyone remember why Jonathan was against it? He said he doesn't want the big companies to read all his data.
He don't want to be stuck in the echo chamber.
Yes, what he said was that he didn't want to be, people to target him. You know, he didn't want to be targeted. He'd rather choose his own, choose where he wanted to go. Whereas unlike Wilson, who said that he liked that, he welcomed that. He liked that people took his details so that he could receive all of those information and be aware of what's going on, kind of thing. Is what I got from what the exchange. And then was the next one, that was a very interesting topic I thought about, the pedestrians on the pavement. Yes, so we had some very interesting, lively exchanges going on with the impromptu speeches. And we'll go on to the first speaker. That was, who was our first speaker? Anne-Marie, sorry, yes, Anne-Marie. And do you remember what she spoke on? Can anyone remember?
Undo it.
Yes, she said, eat well, undo it. And what do you think she was talking about undoing? The it, what does that it stand for? Was that heart attack? We've asked Anne, are you here? Okay. And do you remember the background that she had on her screen that Casey helped put up? The
SACE.
Yes,
SAC.
correct. And do you remember what it stands for? I think we have to ask Mr. Gay. Singapore Continuing Education and Association for, right? Continuing
Yes, you
Education.
are right.
Yes.
You are right.
Yes. And okay. So what was her talk about? Can anyone remember? She said something about diet and medicine. What is her motto?
Food for medicine or medicine as your food?
Food. And she said we better have medicine, food as our medicine. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And she stressed on 3 different types of food. Anybody wants to go for it? All protein based and
Fiber.
Fiber, yes. And the third bit was the low fat diet. And where she said if you did not take care of your diet, it could lead to what would it lead to? Do you remember?
Disease arteries.
Yes, the blocked arteries.
Blocked arteries.
And yes, and she said something about the natural texture of the artery. I'm not sure whether the word is texture, but naturally, in its natural state, how are the arteries? She mentioned something about the arteries. And then what happens once you are careless about your diet? So in the initial stage, it's elastic. And later, once you have a consumer diet that's more fat-based, it hardens. And that's how you have the blockages. So I think that was probably what she was trying to say, that eat healthy and avoid the blocked arteries. Yes. So then we had a talk by Lawrence, evaluated by Lawrence and Rehana. I think they both appreciated the way Anne-Marie talked about it. Then it was on abundance. Can you remember the quote that William said, or that Lawrence said, at least the poet that Lawrence quoted? Can anyone remember the
Hold something
William
in the
Blake.
grain of on the William Blake. Hold the sand in the palm of your hand or in a flower. That's what I can remember.
Yes. Right.
See the world in a grain of sand.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Can you remember the rest, Mr. Gay? Even I can't remember actually. Only the next one. See the heaven in a flower and infinity in an hour.
Infinity in the palm of your hand.
Oh, infinity in the eternity in an hour, correct. Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Eternity in an hour.
that's true. So that was a wonderful saying. So interlinked also that I'm confusing one for the other. So thank you. Then can anyone remember how he said that we can, the abundance is not just in, he said that it all spreads in different areas. Can you mention a few areas that he mentioned where you can see abundance? He said it's everywhere, but anything that he mentioned stays in your mind?
You can see abundance in Singapore.
Yes, that's true. Right here in Agora with relationships, networking. Yes. And he said you needed to be two things to experience it. One is you must see the value and be open-minded about it. All right. And only by practice, he said, that will become part of you. So then what else? We had a very interesting input from Thomas at the end of it. Can anyone remember? After the evaluation, Thomas said something about abundance.
You are given abundant life.
Yes. So he said we are lucky to have choices. Choices. So, you know, so there are people without those choices, and for them to see the abundance is not that easy. So that was another point, but again, just another observation. Thank you. And we have next, it was Kapil Chawla's, it's about, do you remember the topic that he spoke on?
EFT,
Yes.
Emotional Freedom Technique.
Yes, and specifically, he started with?
Public speaking.
Fear.
Yes, and okay, so what did he say about fear? Anything at all that you can remember about what?
Learned it.
I'm sorry?
We learn to fear.
Yes, fear is learned, he said. And one more thing he said was about children, that they just don't know what actually fear is. Whether it's speaking or anything, you just see, in everything you see children in front, comfortable, forthright. And what are the other areas that he said EFT can help you with?
Marriage.
Yes.
Relationships.
Addictions of any kind, yes.
Addictions, trauma.
Yes, and with your own confidence. So it's a technique that we didn't get to hear much about, but seemed very interesting. So that was a very nice talk. And we have our fourth speaker, that was Rehana. And she had a very interesting title to the topic. I'm sure everyone remembers.
Crystal.
Finding crystal. And so what was Rehana talking about here as crystal?
Clarity.
Yes, Mr. Gay. Okay.
Crystal clarity in your life.
Only
Yes,
Mr. Gay is answering all the questions.
Yes.
He's the only one paying attention.
And also like in a little bored way. Okay, Mr. Gay. Okay. So then relationships and something else she said, it can affect every area of your life. It could be what happens when you lose clarity? You remember what she said?
Affected her sleep. She slept at after 2 a.m.
Yes, that's true. That happened because she didn't have clarity.
Became constipated.
Yes, that's true. I'm not sure, but
Actually, it was diarrhea. Then my thought diarrhea, then I had to put it out on paper.
yes. So, okay. Anything else that you can remember at all other than that? Okay, okay. So let's move.
So if Mr. Gay were to say I failed because they only remember I slept at 2 a.m. The rest all they cannot remember.
Yes.
That was horrible. Only remember the title and I slept at 2 a.m.
Yes, I remember. So Rehanna said that if you lose clarity, you lose energy, you don't know where you're going. So you're slower, you're indecisive because you have no focus. You don't know where you're going. But once you have clarity, there's confidence, there's speed, there's energy because you know where you are headed. And I thought the way and it was a very humorous way that she brought it all out. Yes, so really wonderful talks today we had. And I'm trying to remember who the next. Oh, okay. Another thing, that very important thing that Rehanna said was, I think actually the solution to this partly is, can anyone remember? To this indecisiveness or to have a better clarity, what can help you? Maybe Rehanna herself has to say this. Try to express rather than impress. So I thought that was very interesting, to just be happy and try to be expressive, which will just be yourself at your best. Then the 3 secrets of confidence was from Wilson. Again, there was a very important point from him. He gave us 3 points, but most important than that, I thought was, can anyone remember the 3 points?
Cheers.
Yes.
People cheering you would help contribute to your confidence.
Yes. And he said small wins,
Small
steps,
success.
Small success, yes.
Many wins.
Yes, that will help you to go further. And one more thing was
no failure, just feedback.
Feedback. And one more thing I thought was very important was because he said he didn't know English and he started at 13, 18, and even later he did different things. He started on different, and he was a little enterprising. So what was another important thing I thought was a very important secret to confidence? That he did that without telling us, without verbally vocalizing it as it is, taking the first steps everywhere. When the time for presentation came, he stepped up. When the glass of water, I think he was this thing, but he overcame all that and he was willing to take that first step because only then will everything else also can work. Thank you very much for a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Shauna, for being the test master. Okay, so we have come to the last part of this program. I'm going to invite Mr. Cheng Chi Min to do our closing address. Chi Min?
Okay, thank you, Thomas, and very good evening to Agora members and guests, and especially to all speakers, appointment holders, and volunteers. You have done very well. You have stepped up when there's a need to do so, and to make this meeting run very smoothly. And also, happy birthday to you, Penny. I'll just run through a bit of my impressions of the whole meeting. I think tonight's meeting was very well run, and the timing was controlled very well by Thomas, our MC. He didn't want to say so much, but he would let the speakers say their piece. I think that's very important. More time for the speakers, less time for our MC. So I think he controlled the timing very well, very systematic. I like that very much. And earlier on, I think Gwen did the icebreaker, warm up the room. She was very friendly with a friendly banter. I think that set the mood of the whole meeting. And Jeffrey, he explained his etiquette very clearly, very on time. So all of them did very well here, appointment holders. And then when I heard the opening address from KC, I was a bit concerned when I heard him talking about tears of blood, tears and blood. So and then I heard the story about the stone soup. So I imagine the tears and blood coming out from the stone. so so I think that of course the imagery was very important because of all the hard work done by Casey and the team, production team, and everyone here. So when you say tears and blood, I believe him truly, and I encourage him to keep at it until maybe you don't have any more blood and tears anymore. Okay, and he had a very delightful way of starting off his opening address, talking about food, sharing the villagers, and even though the villagers didn't want to help the travelers, but eventually they did so. So it's like the Agora. Many of the guests come here. They may not know what to expect. They come here to attend for free, but after the meeting, they get to benefit what Agora can offer, unconsciously, just by attending. And I felt that the impromptu speech master Chong Lim was very good. He did very well. He controlled four or five topics. He had the pros and cons. So I thought that would be very good counterface. It's like a debate. I'm for and against. So I think that brought the mood up a bit. So that was very well done. And in terms of the prepared speeches, okay, I've listened to Anne-Marie's speech, the first speaker. I like the way she recorded a speech instead of doing live. She recorded it. Sometimes when we do live, there's a possibility that the network may not be so stable, so there will be a bit, sometimes it could be jerky. So I think she did very well in using this technique by recording a speech and playing it back. And I like the background where you have a lot of plants surrounding her. So it's very apt and appropriate for her topic, eating plant-based food, eating the right diet, and so on. So that is on point on her message. Less fat, more vegetables. So I like the way she put up everything. Could be that in future, this could be one of the way to present a speech. Not necessarily every time could be live, especially if maybe we are in an overseas environment whereby it could be the network may not be so secure, depends, or not so stable. Okay, and then I also like the Lawrence Lee's speech. In fact, tonight the theme, from what I see, it could be talking about mind, body, and spirit. All the speakers have touched briefly on these aspects. So I like the Lawrence Lee's quotation, the William Blake quote. He's talking about the abundance, and especially like Penny's evaluation of his speech. Penny, when she evaluates, is always a joy to listen to. If you have a chance to watch all the videos where she's performing, where she's speaking, do try to watch more of her videos so you can deconstruct what she says. Every word she says has a very strong meaning, and then it's very encouraging. I encourage all speakers, all evaluators, if you want to learn how to evaluate better and speak better. In fact, doing a speech within your evaluation, please go and look at the Penny speech. It's all available on the YouTube, so it's uploaded, and deconstruct the speech, learn from her, and I think all of us will be much better evaluators and speakers as well. Kapil talked about the EFT phobias, and this is talking about, I would say, more about the spirit, the body, the mind, the spirit. So he gave quite a good instruction of that, although he did not demonstrate, which I saw in his chat box. He decided to offer some of this demo, his class, at a certain date. Those who would like to join, please sign up for his class. I think it's limited to 5 people only. Yeah. And especially for Samantha, when she gave the evaluation of talking about zero to hero, using things like 4-letter words, I thought she captured the essence very well. I think this is a good way to present a speech. Have a catchy acronym talking about zero to hero. This is really a catchy title. So I think viewers can learn much from Samantha, how she phrased evaluation in a simple way and yet in a catchy way. So I thought that I also learned quite a lot from her. And for Rehana's speech, she is inspirational, inspiring. I don't remember about the 2 a.m. You know? I remembered about your speech about Trista. So don't worry, 2 a.m. is not the only thing I remembered. And you, as usual, you stood up very well. You presented yourself, let full flow of your whole body language. That is your strength. And you stood up to give the presentation. I think that's very good, extremely nice. It's a good change from just sitting down. So I think I would like to encourage every one of us to experiment with different styles of speaking. Sometimes can speak behind the desk as usual, recording. You can stand up, and so on. So Agora is a place where we try, we experiment, and don't worry about failing. As Wilson said, we need to fail, before we can proceed. So Wilson also gave a very inspirational speech, showing us his examples, what he did, and how he overcame his fear of public speaking in English, in a language he's not familiar, to someone now who is so fluent. You can't imagine that maybe 10-15 years ago he could not speak a single word. So I think all thanks to his determination and his hard work and his attitude that every little bit counts. So he kept practicing until he overcome his fear. So this is another way to overcome fear. One way is to use the EFT technique from Kapil. Maybe within 5 minutes of tapping you can overcome the fear. And then one is to do practices. You practice until you overcome the fear. So that's what public speaking is all about. And evaluators, all the evaluators performed very well. They were on point, encouraging, gave the feedback where necessary, and I believe the speakers would take home many valuable points. Timekeeper Carlson, he kept a very good time. It is very clear his timing. You can see the red, the green color. So I think tonight's timing is perfect. That's why you can see now we are on time, within time. We are now it's about 9:02 or 03, no? So we are supposed to have this session closing address about 9:20. So we are well ahead of time, and kudos to Thomas as the MC. Kudos to the all appointment holders to talk to the point. They did very well overall. Shona as test master really tested us, and she got every one of us to participate. I would like to thank President Bamping for providing many of the answers. So it seems like behind the Darth Vader facade, he's still listening. So that's very good. And okay, so for me, what I see is that the mind, body, spirit. Where does the mind, body, and spirit come in? For the mind, it will be talking about Rehana's Trista. She was playing with our mind, of our thoughts, talking about the crystals, crystal clear thinking. Abundance, Lawrence Lee talked about abundance. Again, that is something in the mind. If you can change your thinking and you can change how you feel and act, you can move mountains. And confidence by Wilson, again, this is something in the mind and also a bit of the body because he needs to practice that confidence. And Anne's talk about food, plant-based whole food is exactly what our body needs, so that we don't have any artery, any problems of blocked arteries and stuff like this. And of course, from Kapil's EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, the tapping technique, which many years ago I downloaded the book, but I didn't really practice, but it's quite interesting, tapping and releasing all the phobia. So I think you want to learn more, please learn from Kapil himself. All in, I've enjoyed myself very much, and I would just like to conclude by saying, imagine the future, make it happen today. Always think that in future, whatever you want to think the future will happen, just think of it, and that in time to come, miracles may happen, but you just have to think of it and make yourself believe in it, and tonight's speakers have all said that in one way or another. So take these lessons from all the speakers, go back, once you see the videos, go and reflect on those speeches, And if you can really implement even some of the ideas that has been spoken tonight, I think you will go a very long way, and you will improve your lives, your public speaking skills, overcome your phobias, and many more. So with that, I would like to thank everyone, besides the speakers, the production crew. Tonight's meeting, to me, I felt was very smooth, and quite smoothly, although some people could not turn up, but evaluators step up, volunteers step up. I think that's the spirit of Agora Singapore. Keep it up, and Casey and the team, keep up your good work. Although you are sweating tears and blood, I empathize with you. Don't worry, you still have some more blood and tears in you. Okay, thank you. Over to you, Thomas.
Okay, thank you, Jimmy. Before we finish off, I'd like to get Casey to come back again. You want to say a few words? Casey?
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Jimin. Thank you. I love the imagine the future and make it happen. It's really, really wonderful. And Jimin is a man that I respect a lot. Also, in one of the very good mentor in this club. And for people who want to learn more about speaking well and you want to be a CEO, look for Jimin. Jimin is he makes a lot of CEOs. Okay. Now, and also I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the production team. The production teams are people who behind the scene. Now, Carlson, see your face. Come on, Carlson. Let's give applause to our timer, Carlson. Thank you, Carlson, for all the hard work. You see, behind the scene, I would like to describe a little bit. Behind the scene, we have Rihanna, we have Shauna, okay? To welcome the people and also to enter those people who are in the waiting room. So I do not need to keep looking at that area and overall managing the whole team. So thank you very much. We have also Wilson, and we have this Chong Lim to take pictures. When everybody is speaking, we have screenshots. That's why you can see pictures on the Facebook where the boss will demand after the meeting, why you all haven't emailed me? You know, that kind of situation will come and tears and blood will start flowing. So, right. So this is how our team are made of. And if you really want to be part of this team, just let me know, because we want people to know how to run this production. And Zoom meeting is a new normal. So it's good to also know how it evolves and how we can make it so smooth. By making so smooth is like, if you want to do a one-man show, you can go very fast. But you want to go far in this meeting, we have to go together. And this is what we have been doing. So before I log off and let the MC take back the time, we also want to thank Thomas very much for being with us and taking care of this time. Thank you very much, Thomas. Appreciate it a lot. Okay, so I'll back to you, Thomas. Back to you. Thank you.
Okay, this concludes the end of the meeting. For those of you who want to stay back and chat, you are more than welcome. And the rest will say good night and see you the next session.